So it's just lessons that we're to learn from, not specific words to follow dogmatically.
Yeah, or take it literally, and then get confused with that, right?
So, perfect example. You've heard of a narcissist and narcissism.
That's very, very big.
So, Greek mythology, there was Narcissus, right? Who was a guy that was turning down girls because he would rather look at his own reflection and love himself or whatever.
I can't do a hair toss, but...
But that wasn't a real guy. There was never a character like that. It's a story they made up to show something that never happened but is always happening. People that are full of themselves.
It's an aspect of
humanity.
humanity.
It's an aspect. It's an archetype.
Yeah.
So it's a story made up that you learn from. Not hate other people if they don't believe your stories.
Hey, man, tortoise and the hare are real, okay? And you're not going to tell me otherwise.
That's the thing.
Humpty Dumpty is real.
Dude, a tortoise never raced a hare. But if you say that that's bullshit, you're not learning the lesson of...
You're getting attached to the idea of it being real and not real. You're not taking away what is... You're not using that third eye, discerning, like, okay, what is actually happening?
The turtle went slow and steady, and he never quit. And the rabbit was cocky, and even though he was faster, he took a nap, and he fucked his shit up. And the turtle wins the race. Ain't nobody ever raced. But you can learn from that.
Well, that's dumb, because everyone knows rabbit would be a tortoise. Well, now we're having a different conversation.
Different conversation.
You're talking to
and
me
you're
about
overanalyzing versus throwing it out. We want the middle lane of learning from it. The Bridge Podcast, back again, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Sean Nixon.
Jonathan Matthew.
How you feeling today?
Question for you.
Love this.
All right. If you could be any bird, what would you be?
Oh, man, I want to steal your bald eagle, man.
Yes, the bald eagle.
But I can't take your bald eagle. So I'm thinking like a peregrine falcon.
Whoa. So bird of prey
or
for
some
sure.
type of hawk.
You wouldn't
bird
want
of prey
to be like
for
a
sure.
bird of paradise?
I like in order waterfowl, birds of prey, and then birds of paradise.
Okay.
I like a fucking wood duck is cool too.
A mallard?
Not a mallard
you mean the ones
per
with
se.
The cool little
yeah, and all the colors.
Yeah,
dude, they go through trees like fucking fighter pilots and shit.
I was just watching a video of a loon flying
and they're
on
beautiful.
the water.
Loons are crazy
and
too.
And he just about like a seaplane. Looked just like a seaplane.
Looks like a seaplane.
Had like 50 feet of him just like shh, and it's perfectly touched. Water barely rippled. He just like.
So maybe I say golden eagle, and you say I don't know about eagles though. I think I'm into more hawks and falcons.
Hawks and falcons. Randomly, for whatever reason, I was just looking into. I got
some type of hawk.
Yeah, I got into wormhole on like falconry, like how that got started and shit. That's wild, man. Just
Super
like
wild.
having a teammate falcon that just like goes and hunts shit.
And it's not the same as a dog where you understand how you trained them or whatever. Like,
no, it's just like,
how the fuck are you training a dinosaur?
I have no idea.
It's a
That's what they are.
goddamn
dinosaur. Birds are closer to dinosaurs than reptiles, I believe, right?
For sure. I mean,
although I saw a snapping turtle on the canal the other day, that shit was a dinosaur.
That's a super dinosaur.
That's an actual dinosaur.
That's an actual dinosaur.
This
like alligators.
Face just looked like a dinosaur. Yeah.
Like as old ancestors.
Yeah, like it hasn't changed genetically since dinosaur times very much.
Why not? Just living life. Speaking of living life, we are back with the 7 series. This is actually the first one. All we did was an intro, and now we're breaking down the 7 chakras. Why does this matter? What the hell does this have to do with my health and fitness and taking personal responsibility for my health and happiness and living a proper human experience with wellness and health and being vibrant and being a contributor to society and the planet Earth? Well, I'll tell you, there's more than just a chakra. What is that? Like, I saw this shit in a gift shop or whatever.
It's a colorful little...
well, that's the thing.
Idea.
So you got 7 colors in the rainbow. They just so happen to line up with these chakras. You have 7 musical notes. Their vibration just happens to line up with all these. You'll see how we're going to tie this back to health and fitness And that there's no coincidences and everything is connected, and 7 is a magical number. So, what chakra literally means wheel in Sanskrit, because it is an energy center represented by a wheel symbol, essentially, that spins when we breathe into it and put our intent and our focus on it.
Yeah, and breath, we talked about prana a little while back, too, when we were talking about pranayama, right? The breathwork practice, stuff like that. Prana is essentially that life force, and within you have your whole energetic or your subtle body, right? So the wheels are just the energy centers along which we have nadis, or essentially these kind of like tubular, if you imagine just like a thin pipe where the prana or that air, they're called like air pipes essentially, like where that prana runs. There's supposedly like hundreds of thousands like in history, but there's three main ones. There's the ida, which is the like the left side, which is the feminine energy that runs from like your left sacral area, so where your testicle or ovary, to your left nostril. Pingala is on the right side, so that's your masculine energy. No coincidence that it corresponds to like the left hemisphere. Right hemisphere is more creative. You have that left nadi, or the ida, is lunar energy, divine feminine. Pingala is masculine energy, divine masculine. And you have the sushumna, which is right along the center, so it intersects your cerebrospinal, like the axis, right along the middle, and that's where those chakras are located. So when you think of them lining up along the spine, it's along that nadi, or that energy center. And they all interplay, they all intersect and connect. And so when you're breathing, doing any breath work, you mentioned a pinwheel as kind of like the image, because when you're actually breathing, you're spinning those pinwheels, right?
Yeah, so we're going to show you how to bring these babies from overactive or underactive into balance, but to align them and light them up during meditation or breath work. Imagine the color and imagine a pinwheel spinning in the location
as you breathe in.
As you breathe into it with your focus and intention in the location that 100%. We're going to give you. Because we're going to give you physical location, what gland and organ it lines up with, and everything that it does.
Yeah, and then the bottom of the sushumna is connected to the root chakra, which is our base chakra, our very, very first chakra. And that connects to the crown chakra, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, that's the good stuff.
So let's start from the bottom up. Okay.
The
root.
Muladhara chakra.
Boom. So the root chakra, okay, that is the earth element, is represented by the color red. It has the affirmation, I am. The physical location is the perineum. So basically your pelvic floor muscles. Yeah. The grundle, the taint, your bottom, the lowest part of yourself, other than the limbs, right?
Of your torso, right?
Of your torso. So pelvic floor, let's say, right? The astral body that we're looking at is Earth. Earth, get it? The planet Earth. The musical note is C, and it's affiliated with the adrenal glands, because it is your being and your fight and flight chakra.
Yeah, root literally means grounding, your sense of connection to the earth. And a big part of that connection to the earth is survival, right? Of staying alive on the earth. And so that's why the adrenals are associated with that. That's where you get your fight or flight. That's where your cortisol runs, where your adrenal goes. And that's what's keeping you alive. That's when you need to, right?
Your lowest chakra. Not that it's unimportant, but it's the first one. I like how you skipped ahead, because we'll tie it together.
Yeah.
The root connects you to earth, and the crown connects you to the universe and everything.
Yeah. So we're just starting from
top and bottom.
Neither's more important than the other. They coexist together. Like I said, they're both part of that same energy line there. They're rooting and grounding with that red. And there's actually animals associated with these, which I totally forgot to mention.
Yeah, dude, we can go all day. We have enough.
But the elephant, you think of the elephant, just heavy, big earth mammalian animal, that just heavy mud in the earth, that's
love that.
It's a big old beastie. A vegetarian animal too, right? Eats plants.
Love that.
So the elephant is associated with that heavy grounding energy, the gravity. When I think of that, I think of just like when I sit in a meditative posture.
Yeah, heavy and powerful.
Just the weight. I feel like an elephant.
I love that. Feel like an elephant. Yeah. All right, you got to look up the other animals now while I read.
I think I know a little bit of them off the top.
Okay, good. So the elephant is also what it represents, along with the musical note C and the adrenal glands, because you're going to feel like an elephant when you're balancing your root chakra.
Yeah.
Powerful, grounded, heavy, earthly.
Like elephant's not worried about getting blown away.
No, hell no. Hell no. He feels safe and secure.
Yeah, redwood's not worried about getting blown off the ground. Right.
Love it. So if your root chakra is underactive, you have a lot of fear. You're living in fear, and you're not going to be able to ascend, all right? There's a lot of anxiety. anxiety and fear, and you don't feel safe. So when it is balanced, you feel safe and grounded, and you have nothing to worry about.
Secure.
And you can work your way up to the more fun chakras. And if it's overactive, you're greedy and aggressive, doing a little too much.
You're doing everything out of survival instinct. All the negative shit you do out of survival instincts, right?
Right. That's what
greed's
greed
perfect,
kind of
right?
is.
It's
Right.
like
I need to stack more.
Hoard.
Because you're not thinking of abundance. You're thinking of scarcity, and it's me.
Yeah.
Greed, instead of working up the chakras and know that it ain't me, is we.
It's your classic Scrooge McDuck right there, you know?
For real. Right. There's a lot of those. A lot of Scrooges out there.
A lot of Scrooge McDucks. Yeah.
So how do we balance this? Any grounding practice, and any getting into nature. So what's a grounding practice? What is grounding? Basically, getting your feet into water, into sand, onto the earth, onto the grass, onto the dirt. Bare feet. It's good for you. Walk around. Don't worry about germs. Not all germs are bad. Most of them are good for you. Physical connection to the earth. Walk around barefoot. Go swimming. Get your feet in the dirt. I actually have a meditation pad that's grounded where you plug it into the ground socket, like not the negative positive charge, obviously, but the ground, the circular hole in the plug, which is literally just a wire grounded into the earth.
Yep.
And I also have like a bed sheet that's grounded. So all night I'm grounding.
Yeah.
And getting rid of all EMFs and bad energy that you pick up and store throughout the day.
Because you're sleeping on a bed that's made of.
Well, and you got Wi-Fi fucking and all this shit pumping around you all day. You got to get that out of there. So anything within nature, hiking, camping, hugging a tree, literally. Yeah. Take your shoes off, walk outside, hug a tree. You've just helped yourself and the tree.
Feel good.
Seriously, you're feeling good. Next chakra up, number 2, the second energy center. This is the Sacral Chakra. It's associated with the water element.
Sponsored by
water. The color orange. Okay. The affirmation I feel. The location is the sacrum, which is, so you have your cranium, which has your dome piece, which has the cervical spine. Then the thorax or the torso, which has the thoracic spine. Then the lower back is the lumbar, that is the lumbar spine. And then you have a triangular shaped bone, which is a sacrum, okay, at the base of the spine.
Yeah, what a lot of people would think of as where their tailbone is.
Well, next would be the coccyx, which is where the tailbone is that evolved off.
But yeah, but that little space between the cheeks, right up under there.
Yeah,
that's your sacrum, right
base
there.
of the spine, sacrum. It's associated with the moon and the musical note D. Okay, the gland is your gonads. So whether you got testes or ovaries, that's what we're working with here.
Yeah.
Okay, so if she's underactive, oh, by the way, for the root chakra, you could also eat a lot of red foods.
That's true. That's true.
Your tomatoes, your raspberries,
apples,
cherries, cranberries,
kind of red energetic
food for the root, to balance the root. So now we're going back to sacral. Gonads, testes or ovaries. So therefore, if the sacral chakra is underactive, you have a low libido and maybe apathetic and lazy and just not feeling things, okay? When she's balanced, you're very passionate and creative, okay? So we say passionate because it could be a passionate lover and it could be a high libido and a healthy libido, which is great, but it also can be passion for your purpose.
Yes.
Right? Because like working a cubicle job, you're not really very passionate about it, but like there's the whole science behind semen retention of like guys losing their energy.
No fat, no nut, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Right? So you hold in that sacred energy to be passionate and creative with other things.
Because that's your, the reason why it's associated with that area is that's your creative energy. Literally, that's the energy center where babies are made.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So you're either going to create art, create technology, or create a baby with that energy.
Exactly. And like the old swamis and sages, not just in Hinduism and yoga, but like Buddhism and other cultures, the kahunas in Hawaii, just that semen retention is just holding on to that energy.
To use it.
Because what happens when afterwards you just get like all tired and you're just like, I'm just gonna go.
That is when they say there's no difference between men and women. That is the difference.
That is the difference.
Because when they come, they want more and more and more. And when we come, maybe a nap and a sandwich. Not that we can't go again, but there's certainly a recharge time.
Yeah.
Everybody's batteries recharge at a different amount of time. But it's hard. Not that I've never done back-to-back
Chick's got some lithium
homers.
batteries. We got your old like Ray Duracell.
Got to put them out in the sun for a little bit, charge them up. Because going back-to-back home runs is tough.
Yeah.
But so there's some champions out there, and you can do it. But women are always champions because they're magical.
And speaking of women, too, the Sacral Chakra, Svadhisthana is the Sanskrit term for that. Again, that's where I mentioned before, like the nadis, the Ida and the Pingal, they go into that, the gonads, that ovaries or testes, and come up to the nostrils. So that breath, really, it's a direct connection, that sacral area.
You're breathing into the sacrum.
And even in human design, which we've talked a little bit about, that sacral area is a very important spot.
Kind of a big deal.
We talk about the emotional energy, so that moon energy, right, which I already mentioned was the Ida, that divine feminine. That's that lunar energy. The moon is often associated with the woman, except in Rome, or I forget what cultures they had it switched, but not Rome.
Not Rome. So the Nordics for some reason had masculine and feminine switched with sun and moon.
Yeah,
but maybe it makes sense because they thought that was the creator.
Yeah, maybe a different spot geographically too makes a difference.
Oh,
right. Never thought about that
because they're freezing up there.
Yeah, so they're like, the moon's just all we got.
Right.
So that's it. Ain't no sun up here.
That's your guy
Ain't
right
no
there.
Sunshine. Anyway, but yeah. So when we think of creative energy or emotional energy, that's where that gets kind of stored. So you talk about like out of balance in your sacral chakra. If you've ever done yoga for the first time, this happens to a lot of people when they first start practicing, and they get into any of those like pigeon stretches or hip openers, and they'll start just like crying all of a sudden. They don't know why. And
releasing that energy.
What the hell is happening? Yeah, if that stored emotional energy is in that space.
Yeah, I've seen both. I've seen breathing into that chakra cause orgasms, and stretching and releasing into that chakra cause crying and emotional
release. Yeah,
there's releases all over the place. You're gonna be squirting out of one hole or another at that point. All right. If it's overactive, you're gonna be overly emotional and out of control with the emotions, or too lustful and getting a little greedy down there as well. And like we said, so since the sacral chakra is the water element, to balance it, drink some more water. And think about this, not only to learn where they are and what they're associated with and the magic number 7, but see where you're blocked off and what you could work on. And all these things are, the answer is always meditation and focus and intention and breath work and diet and movement, but we'll give you specifics on it. So the sacral, you're drinking more water, you're doing hip stretches and hip opening yoga poses and whatnot. And then since it's orange, we're talking about citrus fruits.
Yeah.
Oranges specifically, obviously grapefruits, tangerines, clementines, etc. Okay.
Papaya, personally.
So, root is your first energy center. Sacral is your second. We're up to now the solar plexus.
Animals.
Please. Yeah, animal. The most important part.
Crocodile. So there's like a mythological crocodile, like a very specific crocodile.
Like Captain Hook.
Exactly. The one with the clock and whatever. He's
tick-tock.
Tick-tock. That movie's just so full of... They can do a whole series.
Dude, it's an entire metaphor.
We should do a whole Disney series, right? Symbolism.
Because they know what's up. And then they trick the children. On purpose, but whatever. But let's pull the good lessons out.
Yeah.
Because they're brainwashing you both ways. So we'll take the positive. Yeah. Same thing when we break down biblical texts and stuff.
Yeah.
It was written to be a good thing. Politics hijacked it. So why are we going to cry about that? That's what I mean. Why we cry that King James fucked it all up and everybody else? Let's get to the root, pull the lessons out, and take all power back.
That's discernment. You don't have to accept everything. You don't have to throw away everything.
Right. Discernment ninja, baby.
Yeah, like when people were going to the gold rush, they weren't just like taking some sand and if they didn't see gold, they chucked it away. They sieved that shit. Like, I got to sieve the sand, then there's gold, right? You don't just show the whole shit. It's not here.
No gold.
Okay.
Bunch of more. So I love it. So the elephant is with the root chakra. The crocodile, like a big beast crocodile, for the sacral chakra. An orange type of fruits. So moving up, third energy center, your solar plexus chakra. This is the fire element, the color yellow, super important. The affirmation I do, okay, is located below the last rib in the solar plexus. Okay, the pit of your gut, essentially. It is associated with the sun, surprise, surprise, the musical note E, okay, and the pancreas. The pancreas is an organ that, when the liver is filtering through carbohydrates, it sends a signal to the pancreas to secrete insulin. And we've gone over that already on the hormone episode.
If you've ever seen like a diagram of the body, the pancreas is usually yellow in denotation. It has a yellow tinge to it. So
coincidences everywhere. So when this baby is underactive, you have low self-esteem. Okay. Therefore, when it's balanced, you're very confident.
Yeah, this is like your energy center that connects to your sense of self, like your identity and relating to your purpose, right? So self-esteem is a big one because if you're very unsure of who you are, so there's the root, which is like your security as it relates to survival.
Survival.
This one's much more of like your security relating to your identity, your purpose and alignment with your identity.
Self.
Yeah, the self stuff.
Interesting. So therefore, if it's overactive, you're a little too power hungry. So you
Yeah.
can see this one on an easy balance. So the middle lane, when you're balanced, you're just confident. You know what you are, you know what you aren't.
Know what I am?
I am's what I am.
Speaking of am, it also is the animal associated with the ram. Like the little rhyme action there?
Like that.
Oh, yeah. Which connection, the fire center, if you look into the zodiacs, the ram, Aries, is also a fire sign too there. Just made a connection. Boom. Done.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, dude. And they got a microphone on you. That's fucking beautiful. So how do we balance this guy if we're not feeling confident? Obviously, you're working on your purpose and trying to find what you're good at that you can build confidence on. But as far as meditative work, we're looking at a candle gaze. So dark, comfortable room, that's your sacred space. Like I said, lights off so it's dark. Light a candle and do a stare and gaze at the little flicker.
So loose focus on the flicker of the flame. If you do that for long enough.
Oh yeah, some nose breaths and some candle staring. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Or core work. So ab activation.
Solar plexus region.
Solar plexus
region.
Heating that area up. So this is where you would get your heat shock protein from sauna, steam room, hot bath, hot tub, stuff like that.
Exactly.
All right.
Yellow food.
Ram. And the yellow food. So not only bananas.
Like yellow squashes too.
Yeah, nice.
Zucchinis.
Some corn, zucchini. Right. Beautiful. Okay, moving up to the fourth energy center, the old midway point. Oh, dude.
So good.
So the heart chakra, okay? That is the element of air, the color green. That's why I got the green hearts going on, okay? The affirmation, I love, right? And it is located center of the chest where the heart is, okay? It is associated with the planet Venus, who's the god of love, so that all makes sense. Musical note F, for you musicians out there, you understand that vibration and how it will correlate. The Thymus Gland, which is attached, behind the heart, essentially. If she's underactive, you have low empathy and you have trust issues. Been there. Working on, my empathy is like so through the roof, and my trust I'm working on. And when it's balanced, the heart chakra's balanced, you're loving and compassionate and kind.
Yeah, you have that heart center open, right? So we talk about
not only giving love but letting love in.
Yeah. Just like in a physiological sense, which is really important because for a lot of our clients, just the thoracic extension, that opening. When yoga, you would say like a heart opening pose. There's even a pose called Anahatanasana, which is Anahata is that heart chakra, but it's that opening of that shoulder, the thoracic, and that's that vulnerability is what that symbolizes,
It
right?
really does.
Just opening. You think of chest puffing up as like an ego thing, but it's also just like I'm exposing myself vulnerable to my heart, right?
Versus this posture.
Closed off, right? So
if you see someone in this posture, because as soon as you were going spiritual, and I love that, but I immediately was just thinking body language. Thank you, posture.
It's like, hey, I'm talking about something you disagree with.
There
goes the arms.
If you're in a Superman pose, you are not afraid of the fucking person in front of you.
Yeah.
And if you're closed off like this phically, not good.
No, bueno.
You're closing off that energy center subconsciously. Your subconscious always knows what's up, even if you don't. All right.
And the heart chakra too, we talk about there's 7 chakras, and that is the
bridge.
Das bridge to the upper 3, right?
From the lower survival type of chakras.
Who knew that love, the heart was the bridge?
Love is the bridge. What is love? Johnny, don't hurt me.
Too late.
No more. So if it's overactive, you're jealous and codependent. So we've seen this. The big heart people. Big heart. People pleasers. Oh my God. If they don't like me, I'm going to die. Yeah. If they leave me, I'm going to die. I'm jealous if they even look at somebody else. Yeah. But it's like you're a nice person because you have a big heart, but you have an overactive heart chakra.
Yeah, and you're just disconnected from... You're willing to give and not receive, or one or the other, right? So it's...
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's codependent, essentially, right?
This whole entire episode is trigger warning from the beginning. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay? So how do we balance the heart chakra? Breath work. Breathing into the heart. Okay? That's how I open that baby up. And if you notice,
for a lot of people, I know I do too, whenever I get kind of tense in terms of like that space,
Tightness.
that codependence. You get that tension in that
Yes.
center, but you're like, wait, it's not in my heart. It's like in that center
In
of
the
my
center,
chest, right?
right.
What is that? Well,
So you put your focus and attention on the center, breathe in through your nose, and expand that
Yeah.
motherfucker.
again, it's just like that wheel. Just like you're
Yeah, spin the wheel.
every breath is like, I'm trying to get it going, trying to get it going, trying to get it going. Then boom, then it keeps going. Then you get it going.
I love it. So breath work, self-care practices, self-love. Listen, you got trillions and trillions of cells in your body. If you tell them you're no good and you're a piece of shit, they believe you. If you tell them you're loved, that you're safe, you're creative, you're good, tell yourself you love yourself. You're like, but that sounds stupid. You're not talking from your ego to your ego. You're talking from yourself to your cells and your higher self that knows you're loved and awesome.
Yeah, and you got to connect to that first to be able to talk with it, which is what this whole practice of
Practice,
growth
practice,
is.
practice,
And
and gratitude.
Yeah, and you mentioned too how people say, well, that's like stupid. That's woo-woo nonsense. They've done studies where talking to plants changes the growth rate in which they grow. If you talk, see, you're a piece of shit plant, the plant ain't going to grow. If you talk loving words, nice, beautiful music, plant grows more. It's been done by many times, by kids even, just like it's not woo-woo.
It's science.
It's real.
Real science. Not science with a capital S, not science with a dollar
I was
sign.
about to say dollar sign science.
Peer-reviewed, double-blind, repeatable, measurable studies. Okay? So that's your self-love, your gratitude. What animal would you say? Oh, I'm thinking eagle.
No, this is the
Some kind of bird.
This is the antelope.
Oh, antelope, because he's
On the
floating.
plains.
He's floating on there.
Bounding through the air, man.
I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Antelope. That's cool as hell. And then, obviously, green vegetables.
Yes.
Your green leafy vegetables, anything green opens up the heart. All right? Moving up. Number 5, the throat chakra.
The Shuddha.
Okay? Associated with the element ether.
What is the ether?
Ether is your empty space. Air has molecules, and it's made up of actual things that we can
Yeah, you think of air
weigh
as
and
like
measure.
empty space, but
Now-
air fills the empty space that you can't see.
Right.
Yeah.
Air has molecules of a whole bunch of stuff, not just oxygen and carbon
Exactly.
dioxide, plethora of different things that make up actual air. Ether is empty space.
Think of the void, right?
void.
Or like when an astronaut's floating in the whatever he is floating in.
All right,
is the
outer
ether,
space
right?
doesn't have air.
Yeah.
That's ether. That's space. Right.
Yeah.
It's the color blue. The affirmation I speak is in the center back of the throat, associated with the planet Mercury. Why is that?
Messenger god Hermes, who messenger, think of communicator, right? So he's got them speed,
That's what this chakra
bring
is.
messages to
Your communication.
Yeah. Communication to others, but also communication to higher self too, which is why it's one of the upper 3, because these are the more esoteric chakras. These 3 at the bottom, as we talked about, are much more
Primal,
physical reality
physical.
related.
That's why the heart is the bridge.
Is that bridge because it connects to both. You have love and compassion and gratitude up here. You have love and compassion and gratitude down there.
Love this shit, man. I fucking love this shit. Musical note G, thyroid gland. Okay, so if it's underactive, you have expression issues,
Yeah,
and you feel
shy,
misunderstood.
timid, you misunderstood.
Yeah, because it doesn't mean that you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that the other person may or may not be understanding you, but you feel misunderstood because you're not able to articulate and speak up for yourself. a lot of
express
times.
it yourself in a way.
Yeah, so there's a couple of
Express
people like
yourself.
that. So, if it's balanced, you have clear communication and everybody's understanding each other. All right, but if it's overactive, you're boisterous, talking over people, you're gossipy. That's the worst. Like talking for the sake of
You're
talking.
not listening, right?
And a bad listener.
Yeah.
That's not good. So how do we balance this guy? With chants, okay? So vibration. The
Good
old
vibrations.
vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a big deal.
This is
all right?
true.
So that's when, like we said with Om, if you breathe in
Yeah.
and you Om,
The AUM space afterwards.
that vibration is vibrating my throat.
Yeah. And this is actually we missed
feels
this
real
one,
good.
So let's go. We're gonna recap.
Back to the bottom for
yeah. So there's a different chant for each
mantras.
of these, right? I mean, like you said, vibrations. We know the Om, and then the rest of these are just changes to that first letter of the chant. So the root chakra is Lam. So Lam.
Lam.
So the L changes to the vibration that happens, that vibrates literally up into your brain. Sacral chakra is Vam. So VAM. Vam.
Vam.
Get a good Vam there.
Damn
And then
right.
Ram is Ram.
So it's the Ram and the Ram?
It's Ram. Ram and the Ram.
Love it. Ram. Heart?
Yam.
Yum.
Yams if you're American. And if you're also American, ham.
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 Ham. Reminds me, you've seen, what was it,
Honey
Beer
baked
Fest?
ham.
You ever seen Beer Fest?
Not a long
Oh,
time.
dude, he's passed out in the fridge, and the wife comes back in the morning, and she's like, oh my God, he's dead. And he goes, ham. So throat
Hum.
is okay, so there's chant, sound, healing, vibration. It's going to get the throat popping and crack-a-lacking. All right? Also, like physical soothing things. So herbal teas, soup.
Yeah.
Like when your throat's fucked up.
Nice calming, like a little,
Like a, you're not going to say like a lozenge, right?
well, I was going to say lozenge. I was thinking of a specific herb.
Like herbal
but,
teas. Yeah, so your ginger, your honey, your lemon, stuff like
anything
that.
that eases anti-inflammatory inflammation in the throat, where you get a lot of colds,
Blockage.
bacteria, blockage, nasal drip, stuff like that.
Yeah. So once again, ancient wisdom, modern science. It's not chicken soup. It's fucking magical, or whatever. It's warm and it soothes your throat. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
science is just essentially measuring things, whereas this is just more colloquial, but it doesn't mean it's any less real.
Boom.
Because they didn't have any lab coats or peer reviews. They were just like, oh, this works.
This works, right? It's been
I'm going
working.
to tell you that this works.
But that's what science is saying too. This has been working. Why? Because we tested it X amount of times with a different variable under different peer review.
Yeah.
This was just our fathers, mothers told us. So we know this shit works. Same method.
Yeah,
really.
you don't need peer reviews to know how to jump a car. Your dad told you, and his dad told him, or whoever taught you, right? You just do it.
Because someone taught it to you. Exactly.
You don't have to look into the research.
So your hot tea, your soup, your blue foods. So not only the purple, blue sweet potato joints, the yams, but blueberries and whatnot. There's not too many like blue things in nature.
In general, yeah.
But blueberries are nice.
Which is ironic because the ocean appears blue and the sky appears blue. And it has
Isn't that a lot of like reflection?
It's a lot of light reflection, yeah.
Light. We'll get into that. So what kind of animal you got with the throat chakra?
So this one's a weird one because again, I don't know too much about the animals. I just remember seeing them.
Yeah, no, I'm loving that you're throwing
so this was like a white elephant, actually.
Oh wow!
It's like like a pure white elephant.
Like when you take LSD, you're seeing pink. Oh, that's pink elephants, though,
yeah.
not white elephants.
I feel like the white elephant's some like crazy sex position that I've heard of. But
oh, of course. Yeah. You've never done the white elephant,
the
bro?
white rhino, I know.
You do. Well, white rhino, that's advanced.
Hey-o.
Don't go doing that at home. That's after the wheelbarrow, before the fucking Eiffel Tower. But, where we at? Throat chakra. So we're moving on to the third eye.
Sixth chakra, number 6.
All right. The 6th energy center is your third eye chakra. It is the element of light. Okay, because when you close your eyes are for seeing. Okay, your eyes are for vision.
Physical reality.
Your third eye is to see, right, without physical reality. Okay, so that's why there's light there.
Yeah, eyes are for looking.
Eyes are for looking.
This is
third
for
eye's for seeing. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. The color indigo. Okay, the affirmation I see is in the center of your forehead. Boom, right here. But technically, it's the pineal gland, which is center in the back of the hippocampus. Yeah. So right between your eyes is where your focus would be. The planet Jupiter, the musical note A. Okay, and like we said, the pineal gland or pineal, same. It is a little gland that's shaped like a pine cone in the center of your hippocampus in the back of your brain. This is a magical, sacred gland as well. All cultures knew this was a big deal because this is your vision to the spirit world.
Yeah, if you look at ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics in particular, they have that third eye all over that shit.
All over the place.
The Ajna chakra is what that's called.
But even the Pope has a staff with the shit on, and
Cyclopses in Greece.
Everybody knows what's going on here, except for they don't teach it in school, and that's why we're here.
It's not real.
Pineal gland's a big deal. Oh, it's super real. All right. If this chakra and energy center is underactive, you have a lack of focus, but more importantly, a lack of imagination. You can't envision things.
Yeah. That mind's eyes, we call it
that's
seeing
literally
things in your mind. That's what imagination is.
Seeing things with your mind.
I can imagine something with my eyes open. Right?
Everything that's ever been invented, built, or done was a thought first, from imagination, seen in the mind. Yep. Okay, so engineers understand this. Even though they're more right brain, they can picture things in their mind and then use math and logic to create it. But even more importantly, artists understand this.
100%.
You see and feel things with your third eye, and then you express it through whatever your art is.
And then if the word like intuition, what that means, intuition, inner knowing, right? Is what that is. So you're really pulling, when you tap into your intuition, you're tapping into that inner knowing, the inner knowledge that's connected to that greater collective conscious, that collective knowledge, right? Because where does someone get the idea for a chair that already exists? The idea of to sit down something, right? So like, if no one told the guy in a caveman, or maybe they did. Maybe an alien came down and gave him a chair. Who knows? But
there's plenty of that.
He had the idea to like, oh, this exists, something where I sit, where I'm upright, where my legs are like this. The idea already exists. He just pulled it in, just saw it.
Well, that reminds me of Da Vinci and shit, where he looked at birds flying and he invented like airplanes and helicopters on paper before they were physically made, like hundreds of years before they were physically made.
It's next level. Albert Einstein, all these famous scientists who you think are like hyper logical, right brain. Albert Einstein's one of his famous quotes is like, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Yeah. And he's true. He put together the theory of relativity in a dream. The guy who put together the periodic table saw it all mapped out in a dream or a vision that he saw.
But what creates your dreams? Your pineal gland, the dimethyltryptamine,
melatonin, right?
And your
DMT.
melatonin and your serotonin that all are making a
nice little
cocktail in your brain of drugs that are beautiful. And they give you imagination and dream state. So if you're balanced, you're very intuitive and imaginative. Your imagination, as we just said, will create anything that you want for you. Okay? Be it manifesting the future, creating art, whatever you want to do. Your intuition is always right 100% of the time. People are wrong often, most of the time, when you're thinking with your ego and your lower self. When you tap into your higher self and your intuition, it is right 100% of the time. The game becomes discerning whether that voice, what's what.
Not. Yeah, because the ego's tricky. He's like,
the ego is a master of disguising itself.
He's looking for an answer from the third eye. Let's give him something. Let's give him
something in the same voice of eat a whole bag of Oreos, and you're like, oh, my soul told me.
My intuition told me to gobble these Oreos.
Ego got you again. Because the ego's only out for himself because he only wants to survive.
But like you said, discernment. That's I see. Is like I see what's the true and what's fake. I see what's real and what's not real. That's I see. That's discernment.
Trickster. That's why meditation is such a nice practice where you can fucking put the shine some light on the shadow self, sit the ego down, right? Sit the ego down in that chair, and then be in touch with your true self or your higher self or your God self, whatever you want to call it.
That's it.
Capital S self, whatever. And then you have that standoff of like, oh, okay, I can hear when the ego chimes in, like a little court jester and shit.
Yeah.
But I don't always have to listen to him. The ego runs the show throughout the day. A lot of times, that's our persona that we're dealing with throughout the day. That's our character that we're running with, right? But when it's tamed and you can sit him in the corner for a second, and once again, not ignore the shadow, but have it over there as well, then you can listen to the higher self and its intuitive, all-knowing power. And you will never, ever, ever be wrong when you listen to that.
It's like, just popped it in my head, and this may not be entirely relevant or not, but it's like in a courtroom, right? And you got two lawyers just barking over each other. They're both the ego, trying to convince you they're right? And you're the judge. Just be like, hey, shut the fuck up. I want to hear this leading witness who saw the murder and see what he has to say. And you're just like, let me listen to the actual truth.
I love that.
Right there,
I love that because everybody's going to get a chance to speak, but you got to sit them down.
Talking over each other, trying to convince me one way or the other, trying to persuade me, right?
I love that because the ego is very persuasive.
Yeah.
Where the higher self is a little more like patient.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to speak over the ego.
Yeah, he's going to wait till the ego's just done, and he's like, all right.
And then it's like, two perfect words, and you feel it, and you're like, "Oh, duh, thank you, oh my god."
No Oreos.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh my god, I've been using Oreos."
Dude, I felt that the other day. I ate, I wouldn't say completely vegan, but I had some egg whites just for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Just because it told me to.
Just like, oh,
like a feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna go into that feeling, because then I saw my ego wanted Mexican food, which I always fucking get Mexican food and shit.
Yeah.
But I was like, why would I even? Yeah, it's amazing. But I just ate salads and fruit all weekend. Just like I felt like I needed it.
Yeah, like I'll write out a diet, like a nutrition meal plan for myself. But I'll keep it loose because I know in like 2 weeks I'll be like, for some reason, applesauce is what I'm getting.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And
listen to that.
It's usually the pectin in the apples is good for my digestive system. That helps me out.
Or like when women crave red meat when they're on their period because you've lost blood and iron. And come on, guys.
Heme.
Listen to this is your listen to your body. When people say that, you're like, oh, my body wants Oreos and to sit on the couch. No, it doesn't. Your ego wants Oreos and sit on the couch.
And maybe the gut bacteria that you've cultivated from eating the Oreos is telling your brain that you want it, but that's craving, which is different than intuition, right?
Such a good point that you brought that up. That's why when you meditate, you can tell your body that you want to lose, what you want to have a better body fat percentage, height to weight ratio, whatever you want to call it. Not always lose weight, but lose fat.
Yeah.
and you want better gut bacteria. So you're going to stop eating junk and things that you don't digest well. Eat healthier, more probiotic whole foods, fruits, vegetables, sustainably farmed meats, etc. And tell your cells and your gut bacteria that they're healthy and you're not going to crave nonsense foods. Then you could listen to that intuition from your gut, from your higher self, from your third eye.
Yeah, just call a team meeting, guys. Everybody come in the room.
Well, that's what we do.
Let's get on the same page because you want Oreos, you want to lose weight, you hate yourself.
And you hate yourself and don't know what you want. Right.
So let's just bring it in.
The shadow's like, fuck everybody.
Be quiet.
The ego's jumping on the bed screaming for Oreos.
Yeah.
And the higher self is waiting there like, you guys done? Because I'm going to tell you what the real fucking news is right now.
It's like when you have like a family get together, right? Like a reunion, and like there's the old elderly
sitting there
group,
quiet, Grandpa,
and all the kids are fighting, having an argument, and everyone's just like, "What do you think, Grandpa?" And he says like the most brilliant thing.
Yeah.
Or Grandma.
Yes.
Wise elder.
Yes.
And the kid's like, "Oh shoot, he's speaking. Like everyone be quiet. He's talking. Like he hasn't said a word in like years, but now he's gonna say some shit."
And you listen.
And you fucking listen to that.
Perfect analogy. As always. So if it's overactive, the third eye, that's when you're getting nightmares and delusions.
Delusion's a big one,
Yeah, and you're seeing things that aren't real.
Yeah.
And not a positive
Your imagination's run wild.
Imagination running wild, delusions, nightmares.
Delusions, illusions.
Because when it's really balanced and you're tapped in, you can have your own vivid lucid dreams and do whatever the hell you want in your dreams. I've mapped out so many things. There was a point where I was like, I need to work 24/7. So I'm only going to sleep 4 hours and I'm going to lucid dream during those 4 and write shit in my head.
Dr. Strange in
and
his
I
book.
do it when Dr. Strange was doing it. I do it in like a float tank, or if I'm getting a massage, I'll put just a blackboard, I was gonna say, because it's black, in my mind, and I'll just write. I'll just work. I've written people's programs, fucking just work.
Downloads.
Maybe not the best thing, because there is a time for surrender and letting go.
All the time, right? It's
when I do it all the time, I get run down and overactive. There's a time for surrender, balance, letting go, and that's what I've worked on. But point being is, when you control your dreams and you have a balanced third eye, you can tap into creativity, imagination, and intuition, which is big, instead of having nightmares and delusions running wild.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are getting into spirituality or on the spiritual path, or even just the personal growth path across spirituality, hear about tapping intuition, or even talking to spirit guides, or communicating with your guides. A lot of that's connecting with your throat and your third eye together to be able to communicate with that.
Big deal.
So if you're getting like frustrated, well, for one, observe that within yourself that you're getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Practice your meditation. Practice your third eye mantras. Your that'd be third eye mantra would be Aum, A-U-M, which is different from the O-M.
Yeah.
It's actually A-U-M, and the space after that is really important. That 4-letter.
Yes.
Paul Chek has a really good podcast where he explains that whole thing in detail.
He's awesome. Love it.
And the animal.
Yeah, please.
This one, I've seen a couple different things. Again, I think the animals kind of came after. It's like,
yeah, I like it though. It's fun.
So the one is, I think they're getting lazy now, a black antelope. And then I've seen the eagle too.
Well, maybe they're pairing it with the lower ones.
Yeah, so antelope at the heart, elephant, white elephant, black antelope.
I get it.
It's your black antelope or the eagle.
Like light and shadow type of situation there. And then how do you balance it? Meditation, focusing on the third eye, different rituals. So this is when you're lighting your sage, you're breathing, you're in your space, maybe plant medicines, maybe shamanistic rituals, anything that's going to open the third eye, as far as, like I said, focusing your intent and intentions on it. Your cannabis, your psilocybin mushrooms.
Anything that can tap into that pineal gland or activate that.
Just opening that bad boy up so you can be more creative, more imaginative, more open, intuitive in that area. Okay, so number 7 is the crown chakra. Okay, that is related to the element of just energy. Okay, so we're talking about collective consciousness, God energy, pure energy, everything. The color violet, because if you've noticed now, we've gone Roy G. Biff from the bottom up: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The affirmation, I understand. Center and top of the head is where it's physically located, is associated with Uranus, the musical note B, and the pituitary gland. Okay, so if it's underactive, this is where you get depression, brain fog, just a lack of connection. All right. When it's balanced, you're very aware, like awakened and aware, and understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. And just understanding of the universe is like knowledge, but also understanding of people and what level they're at.
Yeah. It's hyper awareness.
Hyper awareness. In a good way.
Yeah, Sahasrara Chakra, and a lot of times this one sometimes isn't considered even a chakra, but it is considered a chakra because it's just the opening, essentially a portal.
Yeah.
So if you imagine like you mentioned at the very beginning, you're rooted down with your root chakra, which I'm going to bring up a really interesting point about the colors too. This is your connection to everything, unity consciousness. But the Roy G. Biv, right, that color, the rainbow comes from the light spectrum, right?
Yes.
And on the light spectrum, you have infrared. Infrared means below. So you have your root chakra.
Sure does.
Ultraviolet means beyond, right? So you have your infra below too, and then your ultraviolet. Neither can you see with your normal vision, right?
Best in the business. John Matthew, conscious content. Follow that motherfucker. You're fucking up if you don't. That was beautiful. So the root grounds you to earth. The crown connects you to the universe and everything. Because everything is connected. So if it's overactive, the crown chakra, you're very dogmatic and judgmental. So they kind of go together because you're judgmental of other things. So whether you, once again, are in the religion of science, where, oh my God, I'm so dogmatic, if you don't show me the studies, I don't believe it. Or if you're in Judaism, Islam, Christianity, any of these things.
Like spaghetti monster.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Praying to the refrigerator. If you think that's the only way and you're judging other people for their path to source, you're messing up.
Because you're losing your connection to them.
By isolating other people. Because that's when you know you're automatically messing up.
Yeah.
When you're like, they are other than me, and they're the enemy because they don't believe in my God.
Yeah, there's no us and them in unity consciousness, right?
No, because these are just myths. So what a myth is, like religion at the end of the day, is a myth that uses a parable to tell a truth that has never happened but is always happening.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's just lessons that we're to learn from, not specific words to follow dogmatically.
Yeah, or take it literally, and then get confused with that, right?
So, perfect example. You've heard of a narcissist and narcissism.
That's very, very big.
So, Greek mythology, there was Narcissus, right? Who was a guy that was turning down girls because he would rather look at his own reflection and love himself or whatever.
I can't do a hair toss, but...
But that wasn't a real guy. There was never a character like that. It's a story they made up to show something that never happened but is always happening. People that are full of themselves.
It's an aspect.
It's an archetype.
Yeah.
So it's a story made up that you learn from. Not hate other people if they don't believe your stories.
Hey man, tortoise and the hare are real, okay? And you're not going to tell me otherwise.
That's the thing.
Humpty Dumpty is real.
Dude, a tortoise never raced a hare. But if you say that that's bullshit, you're not learning the lesson of...
You're getting attached to the idea of it being real, not real. You're not taking away what is... You're not using that third eye, discerning, like, okay, what is actually happening?
The turtle went slow and steady, and he never quit. And the rabbit was cocky, and even though he was faster, he took a nap, and he fucked his shit up. And the turtle wins the race. Ain't nobody ever raced. But you can learn from that.
Well, that's dumb, because everyone knows rabbit would be a tortoise. Well, now we're having a different conversation.
Different conversation.
You're talking to
and
me
you're
about
overanalyzing versus throwing it out. We want the middle lane of learning from it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was beautiful. So, if it's overactive, you're dogmatic and judging other people. But to balance it, you want connection. So that's your family connection, your connection to the universe is like a spiritual practice, your connection to other people in tribe, community. That's what church, synagogue, temple is supposed to be. That's what spiritual meditation circles are supposed to be. If you're not banging everybody's wife and lying and stealing their money and telling them they're going to go to hell.
Making a cult out of it.
Making a cult out of it. There's a big difference between tribe and cult. Okay? We are talking about tribal connection. A team, a family, a group, like I said, some type of church or religious group. If you're not stealing everybody's money, screwing everybody's wife, and touching kids, do your thing with religion. That's fine. Most importantly, don't start wars and hate other people that believe other stories that at the end of the day are just connecting to the same life lessons.
Let them learn the stories that they learned, and you can learn the stories that you learned, and maybe you have something to share in between there, right?
Always. And that's, you get other people's cuisines and music and all these things when you share cultures. Because I bet if you go into, I'm just making this up, but like Russian culture or Persian culture or Chinese culture, they probably never heard of the tortoise and the hare, but they probably have another story that means the same shit.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, you never heard about the starfish
the
and
cricket,
the
cricket and the fox?
The cricket and the fox, dude? You figure the fox was smoking him. The next thing you know. And it's like a Chinese story, and you're like, boom, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
And other cultures have other stories that we don't. They're not always one-to-one translation. And you're like, whoa, I get that. When you translate it, and like, I get that. That's wild.
Yeah, read the Bible, the Quran, the Old Testament, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching. Like, all those have very similar themes. You don't say.
Same, but
And,
different.
And as we're getting to from the root to the top here, which is I forgot to mention, each chakra is actually, it's meant to be a wheel, but it's symbolized as a lotus or a wheel with petals around it. And each chakra has a different amount of petals.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we didn't even talk about the numbers.
Yeah, and then the crown chakra has, I think it's like the 1,000 petal lotus.
Because now you're talking about fractals and not only sacred geometry, but the Fibonacci sequence of sacred math that goes on.
Oh yeah.
So this is important stuff. Because math checks out no matter what language you speak, and I'm talking about not only every language on Earth, but when you're talking about alien races and whatnot, they understand binary code and the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah. And then you have, the root has 4, sacral has 6, solar plexus has 10, heart has 12, you have 16. The third eye has 2 petals, but it's also represented by a 96, that 9 and 6 inverted.
Yes.
And then the crown chakra is like the many petal, 1,000 petal lotus. And if you look at that system, or if you imagine someone's body, and the crown chakra, it's just blooming, like I said, the opening to source, those petals opening up. You have the whole, if you ever seen a lotus, it's a water flower. So you only see the petals sitting on top, but what you don't see is this whole root system that comes all the way down. And actually is very similar to the spine. If you look at that.
Coincidences everywhere.
That flower, that opening, that blooming of unity consciousness comes from the connection to all these other chakras.
Everything's connected. 7 is a magic number. And just so you know, when you're feeling down, remember the lotus flower grows in mud. And it's beautiful. See you next time. Peace.